Rajeev YSR Show, episode 6. Sorry about the delay. We started a bit late, uh, but then I'm very glad that we are able to catch up once again and meet. I'm very happy today to be on live with you all this at this time because there are definitely some good news that I would like to share with you all. Most of you have known through the update on LinkedIn. I've started to venture on my own, and basically, this is the services are basically into giving consulting and advisory services for organizations who are working in the automobile slash electric vehicle domain, and at the same time, startups and MNCs who are looking for growth in their professions as well as organizations. And most importantly, it is also about uh, adding value to the professionals, to corporates, and to the students in achieving 10x growth in life. So it is multifaceted, and I'm very happy to share that right now. Then there is no restrictions in terms of timings or any other things. I'm available and I'm accessible, and already many companies have reached out to help them with their strategies and especially with their go to market strategies, etc. So I'm very happy even in that context. So this is all great, and thank you very much for standing by and for all your support. And without much delay, we will begin the Rajeev YSR Show episode 6. So before that, whosoever are watching online, uh, do not forget to share, like the live, and also mention on the comment box where you're watching this particular Rajeev YSR show from. Yeah. So without much delay, let's begin the show. Like, we have been doing a series on the product market fit, and we did two episodes of the product market fit, and we will continue to do the product market fit also. I mean, but then for this week, I have something special for you because I have decided, right, to be entrepreneurial and to really bring that particular entity live and then see what needs to be done. I thought this week I will share something about entrepreneurship, innovation, and startup ecosystem because some of you, I mean, while most of you congratulated me, most of you wrote to me in person. Some of you also asked that, hey, you know what? I also would like to start something on my own. And how do I do that? Can you guide me? How did you do that? Can you guide me? Right? So I think it is in that context I've decided that this particular episode I will talk on entrepreneurship, innovation, and startup ecosystem. And probably sometime going forward, we will of course cover the remaining part of the product market fit. Are you all excited? If you are excited, type that you are excited. By the way, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. On all these four handles, we are live. And once I see few comments that you are excited to be part of the show and you are excited to listen, then what are we waiting for? We can just begin. I'm seeing some of your comments on LinkedIn on a different device to respond. Yeah, in the meanwhile, I think there could be some lag or delay in terms of the comments, but then I would definitely look at each of these comments and then respond to them. Please mention where are you watching this particular live show from. Yeah, for most of us, the terminology or the words such as entrepreneurship, innovation, etc., they appear to be jargons, and in fact, people who do not know the actual power behind these words also attempt to use them as jargons in their conversations. And today, as part of this show, we will try to understand in detail of what this entrepreneurship is all about. What does it mean by innovation, and how can one thrive in the startup ecosystem? Yeah. So, without much delay, let me share the screen and we can begin. Yeah. Can you see my screen? I hope you are able to see my screen. Yeah, you should be able to see my screen. Yeah. So, the agenda of this day, we are going to cover entrepreneurship, innovation management, and startup ecosystem. Now, a brief introduction before we begin for some of them who might be watching this for the first time. What is this Rajeev YSR show all about? The Rajeev YSR show is all about adding value to the LinkedIn, to the Facebook, and the other community where the participants could be students, participants could be young professionals, participants could be startup founders, or even from MNCs, right? The show is all about sharing one another's experience, learning from the other's experience, and then trying to make the best out of it. And this particular show would be live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We talk about we discuss multiple topics as part of the show. And very soon, going forward, we will also interview different people who would have achieved 10x growth in their assignments and in their workshops. And if God willing, things work out well, probably the coming week or the next week, we will have Mr. Anirudh Sayal, the co-founder from GigForce, where he will share his experience on how he has started GigForce as an organization and how it is doing right now. And then, if time permits, we will also have Soumya, who is director for DIRI, part of Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, where he'll also share his experience on how he's taking up this new plunge of digital identification of a research institute, especially for the blue collar employees, right? So, Rajeev YSR Show is all about adding value. And if there are any other specific topics that you would like me to cover as part of the show, please feel free to ask. Please feel free to comment, and I will be able to do that. So good to see Indrajit Singh from Bangalore has joined, and others, whosoever, wherever you are joining from, feel free to communicate where you are joining from. Yeah, without much delay, let's move on. Now, a quick question to all the people who are watching: is entrepreneurship, innovation, and startup, right? These three, are they synonyms? Do they mean the same? If it is same, say yes. If they are different, you can type no. And if you do not know, you can as well mention that you do not know. Yeah, if you think entrepreneurship and innovation and startup, all these terminologies are same, you may accordingly mention whatever the comment that you think is the right one. Had it been Zoom or any other such kind of a program, I think it would have been more nice and easier to interact, because I get to see your comments and I get to I can speak to you. Okay, Indrajit says no. Great. I can bring you also on the screen. Probably let me work on a bit technology and then try to get from henceforth we will try to go closed loop discussion as well. Let us see if we can do that. But right, most of us have this kind of thoughts, right? I mean, is entrepreneurship, innovation, startups, I mean, what are all these terminologies and do they mean the same, right? I would say they are more like a triangle, right? If you look at a triangle, right, an equilateral triangle where all the sides and angles are equal, 60 degrees, The triangle as a unit, whatever the base it is still the triangle. But then all the three sides are similar, but they are not same. They're all different. Similarly, when we talk about entrepreneurship or startup ecosystem or innovation management, all these things, the right approach of looking at them is all of them are though different but are interconnected. It is not possible that innovation exists without an entrepreneurial mindset, or it cannot be possible that startup ecosystem can exist without innovation being at the core, right? So these are all interdependent, though those are not exactly similar, but or same. But as I said, as the three sides of triangle, all of them are very important to ensure that it forms as a triangle, and at the same time all three of them are unique. Okay, now let us understand one by one, what does entrepreneurship mean. Now again, my friends, let me tell you, we are not I'm not here sharing things from I'm not just picking things from book and then just publishing here. A decent thorough research and study has been conducted for every presentation and every content that is being made. And above all, I bring majority of learning from my experience, and share, so that you really find value and you really find it applicable, right? Even in your real life examples, right? That's the whole context and whole that's the whole concept and fund of this particular show, and why we are putting, at least I'm putting so much of efforts, right? But then thanks to you, you have been watching, some of you are watching live, some of you are watching once it is over, but you are definitely giving me the feedback that it is helpful to you, and that feedback is what is really keeping me to move on, right? So what is basically entrepreneurship? The simple English is the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risks in the hope of profit, right? If you're looking at a book form of a business, or a definition or a simplified definition of it, it is this: the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risk in the hope of profit, right? Now these three things are very, very important. What is it? Number one, setting up a business. Number two, financial risks. And number three, profit. These three are very important, right? Now let us get into a detail. It also means that embarking a proven journey, not necessarily also a new one. It is not required that you always I try to identify a new problem statement and then try to attempt that particular problem statement, try to attempt that particular problem, and then bring a solution and convert that into an enterprise. But even a proven journey, even a proven solution, if only it can be it can be made better and brought into a business model, is also fine, right? And some examples, right, of entrepreneurship. When you hear about entrepreneurship, this is what you get, right? It could be I mean, whether it is production, or whether you are into supply chain, or whether you are into simply trading, right? All these things come under entrepreneurship or enterprise. Now it could be a physical product, right, or it could be a technology product, right? And again, at the same time, your your services could be services as such, or product also could be one of your services. And again, among them, it could be a technical product, or a financial product, or educational product, or marketing product, right? So entrepreneurship is nothing but this activity of setting up a business, and that business could be either a physical business or a technology business. And it could also it could either be a product or a service through which you basically anticipate to make money and make profits, and then you take, of course, the necessary risk that is involved, right? Now what is innovation management? Again, in simple English, innovation management is all about any new idea, any creative thought, right? Any new imaginations. It could be a form of device, or a method, or a process, right, that provides better solutions, or that can meet new requirements or unarticulated needs, or existing market needs, right? That means, see, when you look from market perspective, there are three kinds of needs, right? One is existing market need, where we know, for example, mobility, moving from one place to another place, is an existing need. Everybody wants to move. Now how do you want to solve it? Do you want to solve it by selling vehicles? That is one way of doing it. Or do you want to bring an aggregator and then try to use technology? That is another way of doing it. Or you want to bring personal, right, for example, passenger drones which can pick you up and then drop you. That is another way of doing it, right? So the needs could be same, but then you could always have different creative ways of solving the same need. So that is innovation. Sometimes needs might not also be expressed by the customers. That is what we call unarticulated needs. But as a entrepreneur, if you're able to articulate, right, those needs of the customer, for example, in the product market fit, we said, right, I spoke about PALMS as an acronym, and in PALMS we said the second one, A, stands for articulation. If a problem statement is well articulated, that means that it is half the problems is solved, right? So entrepreneur also must have the ability to articulate the unarticulated needs by the customer, and at the same time you should always watch out for possible new requirements in the market, right? In the four steps that we have discussed last time in the product market fit, we talk about how we need to keep watch on market, how we need to keep watch on government and the policies, and how we need to keep a watch on the changing I would say customer trends, right? So from all these things, if at all you have a better way of solving these problems, new, creative, in an imaginary way, that is where you talk about innovation, right? That is basically what is innovation management. Now, what is startup ecosystem? Startup ecosystem, of course, most of us, it is embarking a new venture or undertaking, especially a commercial one, to develop a unique product or a service and bring it to the market. This is the definition that is taken from Investopedia. Now, in here, I would like you to focus on these two words. One is a new venture, a unique product or a service, okay, and taking it to the market, especially to ensure that it is commercially viable. Now that you understood entrepreneurship, startup ecosystem, and innovation management in their book form definitions, as I said, the right approach is all of these are interconnected, and it makes a whole lot of sense when you read all of it together. Read in this direction along with me. The activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on profitable financial risks in the hope of profits, and bringing a new idea or a creative thought, a new imagination in the form of a device or a method or a process to provide better solutions that meet new requirements or unarticulated needs or existing market needs. And this whole concept of starting something new and developing it either in the form of product or service, this all put together is what I would call as the art of building business. So now, such a huge definition, if it is to be comprehended and if it is to be brought it down, it is like this: identifying the market needs or problems, be it clear and existing ones or non-existent and unarticulated ones, and offering better solutions to those problems in a new way, and build a complete, scalable, profitable businesses around these offerings. This is basically a cumulative definition of entrepreneurship, innovation, and startup ecosystem put together, right? Things that are very important here are these: clear, it could be clear existing market needs or non-existing or unarticulated market needs. It could be offering better solutions, right, in a new way, and at the same time, the ability to build complete, scalable, and profitable solutions, right? For those who have just started watching it right now, I'll be very happy to see where you're watching from. Please mention the place that you're watching from. And if you have any specific questions that you would like me to answer, please feel free to mention those questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Now, some of the examples, right, are these. Booking a taxi. Before Ola and Uber have come into picture, booking a taxi, you kind of go to the local travels and then you negotiate with them. You tell them, you pay them certain advance, and then the next day they come and they pick you up. But then instant on-the-spot booking was never known until Ola and Uber have come into existence, right? Looking for restaurants around, Zomato, right? Until Zomato has come into picture, you never knew, or Swiggy, you never knew what restaurants are around you. All you need to do is you need to go explore by yourself, find out a restaurant that might be of your choice, and then get inside, right? Similarly, booking a ticket, train, bus, air. We know how it was before the days of Red Bus and Make My Trip. How to find a house either for rent or sale. We know how it was, how it used to be, right? We used to generally go out to the market, look at to-let boards, and then attempt to solve or attempt to find those kind of right, attempt to find options in that context. And the recent one, how to find a doctor nearby, Practo, right? See, the left side ones are all, I would say, either existing or non-existing or unarticulated market needs. For example, nobody would have told Bhavesh Agarwal that, hey, you know what, I want taxi on demand, right? You're getting it, right? Nobody would have told, right, either the owners of housing.com or Magic Bricks or 99 acres that, hey, you know what, how beautiful would it be that I'll be able to find out houses available for sale or houses available for rent just on my mobile. Nobody has told it, right? And even for the Practo founders, right, nobody would have said that, hey, you know what, I'm looking for an opportunity where I can find a doctor on my phone and then start interacting with them. But then what exactly happened is the team, the founders, the entrepreneurs were able to identify these unarticulated needs and provided solutions around them. And that is how they were able to bring innovation into the startup ecosystem. They were able to build smaller business models, and which further have become scalable models. Okay, so as I said, identifying the market needs or problems, be it clear and existing ones or non-existing and unarticulated ones, and offering better solutions to these problems in a new way. At the same time, the ability to build a complete scalable and profitable business around these offerings, right? Simply put, how do I solve a problem that mankind is facing in a new, better way? And in the process, how do I make money, right? That is what, simply put. Example, right? Let me talk about one such example. And again, I'm saying this entrepreneurship, innovation management is all about evolution. It is not static. It is dynamic and it is an evolution. For example, look at this. How does the communication used to happen in the olden days? Right? Through kabutars, through pigeons, right? The chittis used to be tied to their legs, and then they fly from point A to point B and communicate. Yeah. Then what happened? Then we got telegraph machines. Okay. And then we started using telephones. Then we started using walkie-talkies. We started using pagers. And then we started communicating through emails. And then came the mobile phone technology. And now we are also communicating through watches, right? Now, this is a very, very, very important slide that I really want you all to take a look at it. The first mode of communication began or started as early as 770 BCE, right? And from 770 BCE to 1840, there was never innovation in the communication until the telegrams have come into picture in 1840. Then for about 30, 40 years, it was still the telegram being the mode of communication. And in 1876, right, we got telephone by Mr. Graham Bell. And then for about next 60 years, it was just the telegram, no further evolution in the communication. But after 60 years, you see, you have walkie-talkies. And then another 12 years, you have pagers. And another 20 years, you have emails. And another 2 years, you had cell phones. And then you have Android phones, you have iPhones, smartphones, and you have smartwatches as well. Now, one thing I would like you to understand here. If you look at the time frame, as we move towards the right extreme, what is happening? The window from one solution, one invention to other invention is kind of shrinking. For example, 770 BCE to 1840, there was no much disruption or innovation at all. But then 1840 to 1876, 36 years. Then 1876 to 1937, then 1937 to 1947, just 12 years. That means the window is shrinking, which means the technologies and the products kind of become obsolete in attempting to solve the same problem. What is it? Each of these products or technologies that you watch on the screen, all of them solving one single point. What is that? That is the problem of communication, right? And look at it, how they are solved, right? And if you think that this is it, that's all, there cannot be further any innovation, look at this. We are talking about the virtual meetings. Virtual meetings, I'm not talking about right? The Zoom kind of stuff, but then virtual meetings using, right, the AR, where you will be able to feel and think, right, virtual reality, that the person is right there available next to you, and you will be able to exchange dialogues, and you would be able to exchange talks with them. Don't you think this is all wonderful? I mean, the reason why I've shared all these things is, even henceforth from here on, as we move ahead into further generations, and as we move on, what basically happens is this: the time gap between invention to invention, innovation to invention, gets shrunk, and things which are even beyond comprehension, right, would take the reality form. This is again another example: personal mobility, right? Personal mobility, earlier, whenever somebody wants to move from a place to another place, they used to use, uh, right, their two god gifted legs, and then they used to walk. Then they started using horses, and then cycles, and then slowly cars, and now we are talking about autonomous slash driverless cars. And the good news, Tesla is coming, I mean, has come to India, and their products would soon be seen on Indian roads, right? This is also evolution. Again, if you think that, hey, you know what, this is the best of innovations, this is the best of technologies, this is the best of evolution, and nothing can go beyond it, we are talking about flying cars. We are talking about personalized helicopters. We are talking about cars where driver and the need to drive the cars becomes redundant, right? It becomes like any other electrical device, like your mobile, things like that, right? They just do what you command them to do, and personal mobility also can happen like this, right? Again, in the same now in the same mobility space, I'm sharing now another example, that is how business models also evolve, right? Again, it is not just the products or technology that evolve, but business models also evolve, and business models also cannot avoid innovation. Now, what happened in the previous slides that we spoke about? What was at play here? It was innovation at play. And now let us see how innovation impacted the business models also. Earlier, it is all about public transport. Whenever you wanted to go, majority of people would either choose buses or trains, or right, or flights. And slowly, the trend has shifted towards vehicle ownership. People who are able to afford the personal vehicles started buying and investing into personal vehicles, and then from there on, shift towards, right, mobility on demand, Ola and Uber. I don't need to own a vehicle, but whenever I need a vehicle, I can just get that vehicle on demand. And from there on, it moved towards shared mobility, that is both in Ola and Uber. Not just me, I can also share the services that I'm using. And from there on, it moved towards shared assets. For example, Zoom Car or Rev or Bounce Rapido, where you don't even need to own the asset. You can use those assets as if those are your assets, but the same assets could be used by others too, shared assets. And now we are talking about shared services, Uber, Connect, and Dunzo, right? So look at the basic concept of mobility or transportation, right? Even the business models also had to undergo through the phase of innovation, and whosoever was able to latch on to this innovation were able to succeed, and whosoever were not able to handle this innovation kind of have become obsolete, right? Innovation is not a choice, but a mandate for entrepreneurs. And one such example that we see is not just Snapdeal, but all these products, right? I'm sure you know each one of them. The cameras, the typewriters, Blackberries, pagers, Nokia, Sony Walkman, Xerox as a company, Chevy as an automobile, Yahoo Mail, and including Snapdeal. Fantastic brands. These are the brands which really ruled the world at some point of time. But because they failed to innovate in their offerings, because they failed to evolve, like I said, right, when we saw the examples of how the communications, we saw the examples of how mobility evolved, because they failed to catch up with that innovation, they failed to catch up with the change in technology and with the change in the demand, they are no longer in existence. right? Innovation is not a choice, but a mandate for entrepreneurs. While we talk about these products on one hand, look at the other products: Facebook, Alibaba, Oyo, Ola, Flipkart, Google, Uber. Facebook is one of the content generation platform, or one of the biggest social media platform, without Facebook actually not generating even a single byte of content in it. Similarly, Ola and Uber, right? They are one of the biggest aggregators of cars without actually owning any one of them. Flipkart, Oyo, they have so many kind of hotels on their platform, but they don't own any. Right? Look how even the business models have changed and how they are thriving. Right? So for entrepreneurs, people who are saying that, hey, you know what, I have planned to be an entrepreneur sometime in my career. I have plans to start something on my own. One important thing that you need to hold on right from where you are working, whether you're working or whether you're studying, or whether you're just starting up, one thing that you just cannot avoid, and that is innovation management. Right? Now, do you agree that innovation is a must? If you agree, type it down that yes, I agree that innovation is a must. Yeah. Yeah, just to make it a little more interesting and physical, say that innovation is must. How I wish I could see all of them through this camera, whosoever are watching, and then kind of could have communicated with you and could have seen, right? I think that's the technology which we really want. Innovation is must, and then how is this five-step formula? This we have seen: prowling, articulating, looking, multiplying, and scaling up to succeed, right? I mean, the palms we have already, I would say, seen in the product market fit. But let me spend few minutes on it. Basically, how do we handle innovation? If innovation is a must, what is the five-step formula for a successful innovate for the ability to handle innovation? And it is this: you need to always be like a prowling lion. I need to always look at opportunities and understand how you can add value. You need to empathize like a customer, reflect upon the pain points of the customer, and then start always looking at different market opportunities that you have. Right? That is what we saw in the beginning also. Said, unsaid, unarticulated needs, you should be able to identify them. And once you identify them, you should be able to distill all those needs and be able to define the problem statement. Your problem statement should never be generic or vague, but it should be specific. And your problem statement should be very easy to explain and understand. That's a litmus test for you to understand that you have reached or you have framed the right problem statement. Then L is looking for solutions, whether it is improving the current solutions or discovering altogether a new solution or innovating in the existing solution, right? And how do we do that? We design multiple solutions. We do not stop just with one solution. We design multiple solutions, and we bounce these things with the customers, and right, and that is what we call as design of experiments. And what is the litmus test that our designs are good? The litmus test is that your design should be simple, executable, and they should be scalable. Then we also spoke about multiplying efforts. We need not be Hercules. We need not be one person doing all this stuff. We need to leverage network. We need to rediscover the wheel, things which are already available. This is the era of collaboration. That's what I keep telling my team. I keep telling my friends. This is the era of collaboration. You don't have to do everything on your own. There are people who are specialized in doing what they're good at doing, and all you need to do is just bring all pieces together and stitch them into a right solution. And we can multiply through synergy, and if required, you will have to form a team, right? And at the same time, how do we scale to succeed? Don't wait for your complete product to be there out in the market to be developed, and then only say that, hey, you know what, only when it is completely ready I will bring it onto the market. No, that's wrong. You should be able to build minimum viable products and should be able to take them to the market, understand their product market fit. Again, as I said, even in the past, we should learn to fail cheap, fail early, and turn around and be prepared for multiple iterations. Early adopters responses are very, very critical, right? So prowling, articulating, looking out, multiplying, and the ability to scale, this becomes the core. of how one can handle innovation. And now let us come at startup ecosystem, right? When we look at startup ecosystem, there is a reason why I have mentioned this particular thing. What will attract the investors? Of course, your product, your solution will definitely attract the investors. But just after your product and solution, what attracts your investors is your team, right? Look at Avengers, for example, right? Everyone is a superhero and everyone has got their own unique strengths, and every one of them is again a star by their individual by their individuality. But then right, when you bring all of them together, that is when they'll be able to solve much bigger problems, right? And it is always that team that attracts investors. So be very careful on how you choose your investors. Be very careful on how you choose your team members. That's very, very important. Okay, so we have of course seen what entrepreneurship is. I'm just repeating that again. And we have seen what startup ecosystem is in detail, and we have also seen what palms is. So with this, basically what I've attempted in this particular short slides is I have attempted to answer the questions of what is entrepreneurship, what is innovation, and what is startup ecosystem. And the reason why I've answered is that having spent 11 plus years in the corporate world, having worked with different companies such as Bosch, Mahindra and Mahindra, TVS Motors, Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, Gati Logistics, and Avan India, the recent assignment, it was very amazing to see each of these assignments where, I mean, every assignment has taught me something, right? And in each of these assignments, whatsoever I've done and whatsoever I've delivered, there is always a ceiling, or I would say there is always a boundary to those deliveries. That is when I thought, why don't I take this entrepreneurial journey and start delivering, or start extending the deliveries and start extending the boundaries of the deliveries, right? For example, one such thing that I've started is this Rajeev YSR Show, right? I know not, it takes a lot of efforts to kind of create this content, to bring this particular thing on this content, to be able to right, buy the right softwares, make the right technical integration, and finally present it to the community who are there and who are able to watch. But I know that it is definitely helping people who are watching it later on. It is helping people to crack interviews. It is helping people in their own jobs. It is helping startup founders to kind of course correct if they're going wrong. And this is where I'm able to add value, and that gives immense, I would say, satisfaction. And not just satisfaction. Now, when people see this, now they are reaching out to me, asking my help in my support or my strategic advice for them to achieve 10x growth in their businesses or in their life or their studies, how to choose the right career, what to do right in a new startup environment, etc. And that gives me real good feeling that I'm able to touch and impact lives and add value to people. And that's where I've started taking up this particular journey. And few personal examples, again, as I said, I would like to few personal examples. When I started my career with TVS Motors, I mean, innovation is not just for startup, or innovation is not just for entrepreneurs. I would say innovation is must for every employee, every professional, and everyone. Only when you innovate at your work, that is when you will be able to add value to the organizations that you are working for. Few examples, right? When I started my career with TVS Motor Company, I was given the opportunity to build vehicle frame and layout. Okay, and at that time in 2010, the vehicles that were really flourishing in the market were Yamaha FZ16 and CB Twister. So a CB Twister is more an economical bike, and Yamaha FZ16 is a premium bike. And among TVS models, Apache was competing with Yamaha FZ, and Star City was competing with CB Twister. But that is where I've identified that there is a gap between 110cc and 180cc engine, right? TVS at the time, Apache, we had a 180cc engine, and then Pulsar at 150cc was kind of killing, right, the whole market at the point of time. And there is no specific product from TVS Motors at the point of time. That was when I was given the opportunity of new product development to fill that particular gap, and I've designed the frame. Right, the vehicles that I've benchmarked are CB Twister and Yamaha FZ, and I've arrived at a beautiful, fantastic design. I took that design to the review. The group of engineers, the HODs were all there. They looked at the design and then they said, "Your design is superb, but then this project would fail." I was shocked. I was shocked. Why would they make such a statement that the design is superb, but then the project would fail? Because the reason they made this statement, I was very much shocked, and I just could not sleep that evening after coming home. I really felt too humiliated, and I mean, I was just 21 years old, and I really did not know how to handle that. But then when I came back, I thought about it, and then I went to my boss, my manager, the next day and said, "Why did the review committee, or why did the steering committee make such a statement?" And then my boss, I mean, I'm very thankful to him. His name is Mr. Venkat Mangaraju. You might find him on LinkedIn too. He said, "Raju, your design is great, but then the way you have designed calls for a complete new jigs and fixtures in the welding. The existing fixtures and jigs cannot be used. And if we were to develop a new line to get your frame assembled, it would cost anything not less than 200 crores to design that complete new line of jigs and fixtures. And that's not the budget allocated for this project. And hence, the steering committee made that statement that your design is ergonomically, is technically, is superior and perfect, but it doesn't come into the right budget." Then I understood it. Then what I've done, I went to that assembly line the very next day, and I spent at least the next 2-3 days observing all the jigs and fixtures, just reading through that assembly line. I had my own drawings in the observatory notebook. Then I came back to my station and started reworking on the design. Finally, I have arrived at a design where the same jigs, same frame can be used to accommodate a 110cc engine as well as 150cc engine. That means I have modified my design such a way that it takes use of the same jigs and fixtures which are used for a 110cc frame that is already there. So because of which there was no requirement for the organization to invest into new line of assembly, right? So that is where I talk about bringing innovation. At the time, I did not even know the word. I mean, I know innovation as a word, but I did not know that even this is what also could be called as innovation, right? For example, carworks.com, Avan Shakti, Avan Access Baggage, these are all different examples which I will share with you in the upcoming episodes. Let me talk about carworks.com. Now, carworks.com was an online aggregator for car service and spares industry, which was part of Mahindra and Mahindra Group. Now, basically, it is the Zomato version for car service and spares industry, where you will be able to basis your kind of car and the problems that you are facing on the car. You will be able to identify different garages that are around you. You'll be able to book an appointment with those garages. They come, they pick your car, they service and give it to you, and you can also pay it through the app. That's the ideal thing, right? But after we launched the app, after we onboarded around 2,000 individual independent garages, multi-brand parts garages, and also the authorized OEM workshops, what we have realized is the B2C retail model. I mean, customers are not really gaining the traction onto this particular product. I mean, the product is not gaining the traction. And we were not very sure. I mean, we were very disappointed because we are not able to make revenues. And you know what we have done? What is the innovation that we have brought in at carworks.com? Since to build that platform, we have onboarded 2,000 plus garages, right? And Mahindra First Choice Services is a multi-brand multi-brand car service chain, right? And Mahindra First Choice Services has got its own private labeled parts. That means it has got parts for Honda cars, it has parts for Maruti, Hyundai, everything which are Mahindra First Choices branded. What we started doing? We started selling these white labeled products, whether it is oil filters, air filters, horns, ECUs, or engine oils, brake fluid oils, gear oils, to these workshops. Those 1,200 workshops, who supposed to, the revenue model is that we drive customers to those 1,200 workshops, and then basis their billing we get our commission. Now those, I would say, those independent garages and those workshop owners have become our customers. That is where we bring, that is what I talk about innovation, right? Again, Avan Shakti, Access Package, and Avishkar, Avishkar is again a beautiful concept where the funda is that, right, if you are, even if you are based out of Calcutta, you will be able to taste Hyderabad biryani, because we pick up that biryani at the right time, we connect it to the next immediate available flight. The team at the destination will receive that parcel, and then they will rush to your house and deliver that particular product, right? Don't you, I mean, isn't it awesome? And Avan Access Baggage again is a beautiful story where you pay around 500 rupees to 1,500 rupees for every additional kg that you take, if at all you take it through airlines. But then Avan Access Baggage has got counters at the airports where we do the same services at less than 100 rupees per kg, right? Now this is all what is innovation all about, right? These are just few examples from what I've done, and I have not waited to start something on my own to bring innovation at work. I have attempted to bring that innovation at work in whichsoever company that I was working in. So if you are watching, even if you are an employee, if you are a student, or whatever position, whatever designation you are in, nothing should stop you in bringing innovation at work. You should be able to bring innovation at work from the very moment that you are in. And once you start bringing innovation at work, and you will see how that pays you off, right? So it is almost 8 now, and thank you very much for your time. It is 8:10. Sorry, we crossed 8. Thank you for whosoever have watched it. Do not forget to like this show. Do not forget to share this show. Do not forget to share, especially with young professionals and students, because I'm sure they will be benefited, right? It will help them in understanding their concepts. It will help them in clearing the doubts that they might carry in their concepts. It will help them to clear their exams. It will help them to crack interviews, and it will help them to excel well at whatever they do. And then it will help them to achieve 10x growth in life, right? Once again, thank you very much. Whosoever are watching here, I was able to see some of the comments. Great. And feel free to, even if you close this, feel free to drop a message where you're watching this from. And if there are any specific comments and specific topics that you want me to address, if any specific things that you want me to talk about, feel free to reach out to me and write to them. I will do the needed, the donkey's work of compiling and creating that content and presenting it for you. Because if at least one person is, I would say, benefited from it, that would serve the purpose. Whenever I feel overwhelmed by this work, yeah, I'm doing so much, but not many people are watching it, or not many people are benefited, I'm not able to see, then I remember the words of the great human being that ever walked on the face of the earth, Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, once a journalist asked Mother Teresa, what keeps you moving? Because you may not get the right recognition, you may not get the right acknowledgement, but what keeps you motivated, and what lets you keep on moving, right? Then she made this statement like this. She said, my work may not be, she says this, my work may be a small drop in the ocean, but then that ocean would be lessened because of that missing drop, right? And I drive inspiration from the very words of Mother Teresa. I also believe that there is a lot of, there's so many people doing so much good work, right? And my work could be that small drop in that huge ocean, but it doesn't matter. And if I do not play my part, then what I think is that ocean would be lessened by the quantum of my part, and I do not want to do that. And even if this particular drop in that ocean could help one or two people, and that's where I get my satisfaction. That's where I get my kick from, right? Once again, thank you very much, guys, and it was great to interact with all of you. Good to see Indrajit and Job Thomas from Bangalore watching here. Whichever city you're watching, even if you're watching after the live, please do mention whichever city you're watching from. And if at all you liked that palms as a concept, if you liked any of those examples that were given, feel free to mention them, and I'll be very happy to watch out and look at them and respond to you, each of those messages, right? Thank you very much. Once again, have a nice evening. Bye. Rajeev YSR, always committed to your growth. Thank you very much.